Do you remember where you were on March 11th, 2011? For millions in Japan, and for the world watching, it was a day that changed everything. It started with a rumble, but this was no ordinary tremor. A magnitude 9.0 earthquake, the most powerful ever recorded in Japan and the fourth most powerful in the world since modern record-keeping began, unleashed its fury. On land, the shaking was terrifying. Buildings swayed violently, roads cracked open, and the ground felt like it was turning to liquid. For nearly 6 minutes, a duration that felt like an eternity, the quake relentlessly shook the nation. People scrambled for safety under desks and in doorways, their world literally falling apart around them. But the shaking was just the beginning. The real horror was yet to come, and it was racing toward the coast at the speed of a jetliner. The earthquake had displaced a massive amount of water, generating a series of colossal tsunami waves. The first warnings came within minutes, but nothing could have prepared people for the scale of what was about to happen. Imagine looking out at the horizon and seeing not the familiar line of the sea, but a towering dark wall of water, growing taller and taller as it approaches. In some areas, these waves reached staggering heights of over 15 meters. That's as tall as a 5-story building. The first waves crashed ashore less than an hour after the earthquake. The footage is something out of a disaster movie, but it was horrifyingly real. The water surged inland for miles, a black churning mass filled with debris. Houses were ripped from their foundations, cars were tossed around like toys, and large ships were carried from the ocean and slammed into buildings. The sheer force of the water was unstoppable. We saw heartbreaking scenes of people running for their lives, scrambling to get to higher ground. Some managed to climb onto the roofs of buildings, watching in disbelief as their homes and everything they owned were swallowed by the torrent below. Others weren't so lucky. The water moved so fast, so relentlessly, that many were caught in its path. The images of black water consuming everything, leaving behind a wasteland of mud and debris, are forever etched in our collective memory. Towns like Rekuzentaka and Afunado were almost completely destroyed. Before the tsunami, they were bustling coastal communities. After, they were unrecognizable landscapes of ruin. The human cost was devastating. Over 18,000 people lost their lives, and hundreds of thousands were left homeless. Families were torn apart, and the search for loved ones among the wreckage went on for weeks. Each discovery was a story of profound loss, but the catastrophe didn't stop there. As the world reeled from the earthquake and tsunami, a new crisis was unfolding. The tsunami waves had overwhelmed the seawalls of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The flooding caused a station blackout, disabling the cooling systems for the reactors. What followed was a nuclear nightmare. Without cooling, the reactor cores began to overheat and melt down. Over the next few days, a series of hydrogen explosions rocked the reactor buildings, releasing radioactive material into the atmosphere. A massive exclusion zone was established, forcing more than 160,000 residents to evacuate their homes, leaving everything behind. They became nuclear refugees in their own country, uncertain if they would ever be able to return. The fields, the forests, the towns they called home were now contaminated. The cleanup at Fukushima is one of the most complex and dangerous environmental challenges in history, and it's expected to take decades. The world watched, holding its breath, as Japan battled a triple disaster: earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear meltdown. The scale of the recovery effort was immense. Volunteers and rescue workers poured in from all over Japan and the world. The resilience of the Japanese people shone through in the face of unimaginable tragedy. Neighbors helped neighbors, communities came together, and slowly, painstakingly, they began to rebuild. But the scars remain. The psychological trauma for survivors is immeasurable. Many lost not just their homes, but their entire families and communities. The empty towns within the Fukushima exclusion zone stand as silent monuments to the disaster, a stark reminder of what was lost. Today, many of the affected areas have been rebuilt. New, higher seawalls have been constructed, and entire towns have been moved to higher ground. Japan has invested heavily in improving its early warning systems, hoping to be better prepared for the next time. Because there will be a next time. The Arding-ee Tohoku disaster was a chilling lesson in the raw power of nature. It showed us that, despite all our technology and our best-laid plans, we are ultimately at the mercy of the planet we live on. We can build stronger, we can prepare better, but we can never fully control the immense forces that shape our world. The events of that day serve as a powerful reminder of our vulnerability, but also of our incredible capacity for resilience, compassion, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. Thank you for watching. If you found this documentary meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that shape our world.